Hey. Okay, hold on. There we go. Promethean Hails. Am I... Is my camera alright? Promethean Hails, champions. How you guys doing? Good to see ya. I am Fornull, and this is Dragonsynth Adventures, where we have all kinds of cool visuals and awesome music and the coolest chat room around. I interact with you guys in the chat, and we just talk about whatever for a couple of hours, and in between we get to listen to some different styles of music, some dungeon synth, some synth wave, sometimes some metal sneaks in there every once in a while. All kinds of stuff. Whatever doesn't get my channel shut down is what I play. The best of that I can find that is obscure enough to not trigger the blocking. So, on YouTube. So, anyways, let's see who's here real quick. Before I do that, I have a little bit of content prepared after this little introduction. We're going to go to that. It's probably 20 to 25 minutes of content. It is a review of this role-playing game, but it's like from a white positive perspective. It's just the introduction to it. I kind of critique it and just practicing that, because I'd like to have more pieces like that where I take things and I pick them apart and just use it to riff off of, thinking of different things. And so that's good practice for me, public speaking and getting to the point, not pausing between every other word like I do all the time. I know it drives me crazy when I watch it back. But anyways, We're going to check that out after this, and then we'll get into the regularly scheduled program. So let's see who's here first. I see Hallander at the top. Oh, let me change it from top chat to live chat, because Hallander's there writing well met. Well met, Hallander. Hallander has been sneakily doing some live streams. I never get there when he's live streaming, but I watch the replay, and he's playing live his tunes to a little drum beat, not little, but kind of a basic rhythm track, this, frame drum rhythm track in the background. It's really cool, and he's really good, and he's very modest, and he'll say, oh, it's terrible, blah, 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 but no, it sounds practically like the recording, so almost perfect, almost flawless. He'll pause sometimes in between things, but I love it. It's really cool. Kingdom of Vinland is here. I like medieval art like that. Okay, cool. I know what you're talking about, that thing in the beginning. I made that. There's a tool online. I don't have the webpage, or I'd post the link, but it's for making those, and it comes with all kinds of artwork and tools to build your own. And so I made my own for Dragonsynth Adventures. They had the dragon and all that. No White Guilt is here. Good to see you, Jason. Let's rock, Fornull. Thank you for being here and supporting the channel. I super appreciate that. Jason is a legend of white well-being, the author of Go Free, Prometheus Rising, Born Guilty, which is a combination of books with a narrative woven through it to tie them together. He even turned the book upside down at one point, which I've never seen before in any other book. It's super cool. Roused Rose is here, my sweetie pie. Good to see you, baby. Samuski's here. Oh, dang. No, I didn't. What? Oh, hey, I beat everybody here. Oh, no, you had 2 people here ahead of you. You got to get here early. I is here with some white hearts. Good to see you, Sunny Jim. Here we go. Hi, all. Hey, Sunny Jim. Forrest Magdump. Ayo. The Mooskies. Greetings, brother. Newsfist is here. Yo, my ninjas. And 07s too. Back at you, Newsfist. Good to see you here. Ardent Party's here saying, what's up? Let's see, who else is here? Who else here? Yes, the Unifier's here. Mental Gen, I am arrived. Good to see you, sister. Another champion for white well-being right there. And she does a stream before this. Most of you are from that stream, so thank you, Yiz, for promoting the channel as well and bringing over your audience. I super appreciate that. There'd probably only be 3 people here otherwise, so I really do appreciate that. Let's see, Anonymous is here. Hello from hell. Oh, sorry to hear it's from hell. But hello. Yeah, I guess in a way we're all from hell at this point. Boss Klutwick is here. The Nameless One is here. Hails. Or Soul and Crew. And then all kinds of cool emojis. The cigarettes. Nice. Let's see. Oh, it jumped on me. It jumped as I was scrolling. I'll find the cigarettes now. Surprise review. Nice. Yes. And then another For Soul from the Nameless One. And always with my device. All right. Thank you, No White Guild. I appreciate that. Wrote, you do a great job, brother. I appreciate that. And you do a great job as well, which you don't, well, we all need to be told that, so I shouldn't say you don't need to be told that, but you know you do a great job. But it's always good to hear it, right? From our peers, if I could even consider myself a peer. I am an amateur, but it's still fun, and I do it the best I can. So, let's see, did I miss anybody? And then we'll jump into it. We'll jump into the pre-recorded segment, I guess. Dennis Myers is here. All right, so let's do this. Let's do this. Here we go. Greetings, how's it going? Well, I wanted to take a few minutes here and just go over something I saw as a little disappointing. It is the introduction to this game, Dark Dungeons 4th edition, which is a tabletop role-playing game based on Dungeons and Dragons, specifically the Rules Cyclopedia version of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, Dark Dungeons 1st edition was a pretty cool piece of work. It took this guy probably, he says, like 10 years, and he took a very complex and sometimes contradictory, convoluted, not very clear rule book and clarified a lot of it, smoothed over a lot of the inconsistencies, and just generally made a more comprehensible version of it with his 1st edition of Dark Dungeons. Sadly, as things progressed, not sadly this part, but he started changing it, adding his own house rules, and doing things to it that weren't really to my taste. So, although I appreciate the 1st edition, I'm not a fan of the later editions, even though there are some neat ideas in those, some neat game mechanics that are interesting. With 4th edition, it looks like the author, Blackie Blackball, has been completely taken over by either white guilt or jealousy or envy of white people, whatever it is. He's severely infected with meme pathogens. And so I wanted to use this intro as sort of just kind of read it and talk about it for a minute. And I'll try and keep this as short as possible, but I thought it was just kind of interesting and just to see where these people are, where they're at, even in games which are totally based on European fantasy fiction, which is based on our myths, our legends, our folklore, all this stuff. So, Blackie the Blackball says here in the introduction, one of the main reasons he wanted to release another edition 5 years after the previous edition is that attitudes have been changing, and you can see where this is going already. And Dark Dungeons, even Dark Dungeons X, especially Dark Dungeons X, is looking very outdated. In recent years, players are becoming more and more aware of the fact that a lot of the tropes in older games are problematic at best and racist at worst. There are a lot of assumptions in older role-playing games that don't sit well in these more enlightened times. The original games were largely based on Wild West settings, but with a fantasy twist, and had many of the unfortunate tropes of those settings. You would get the civilized folks living in their cities on the frontier of an uninhabited, he says in quotes, wilderness that was there to be explored, exploited, and settled. So already the tone is being set for the anti-white narrative. Exploitation of uninhabited areas, the problematic and racist tropes, which he's just referring to our storytelling devices that have been handed down from generation to generation for many thousands of years. Nothing wrong with them at all, but let's continue. Of course, the uninhabited, in quotes again, wilderness, was actually anything but uninhabited. It was full of indigenous people. But those people, orcs, goblins, and the like, didn't count as people. They were merely obstacles to be cleared out of the way so that the land could be claimed and taken over by the civilized humankind. It's all very colonialist So already, trying to white guilt us to not destroy the inherently evil beings from our myths and legends, from our folklore, already there's a problem with it. To make things much worse, because it's already so bad, these orcs and goblins, and similar, were, and often still are, depicted as superstitious and primitive tribal people, with shamans rather than priests. These parallels with real-world indigenous folk are clear, and that's before we even get into the concepts of alignment and the fact that these other people are usually described as being unintelligent and cowardly yet brutish and violent or duplicitous, scheming, and greedy, in exactly the same manner that various real-world ethnic groups have been. And these sort of stereotypes are reinforced by giving entire races of people a particular alignment. So what he's talking about there is in these games, you have something called alignment. This is a description, usually a 1 or 2 word description indicator of where you are as far as good and evil goes, or sometimes as far as law and chaos. In this game, there's just chaotic, lawful, and neutral. Okay, so chaotic is unlawful and also evil. And so that's what alignment is. That's what it is. And in these games, monsters, which, like we know from Tolkien and Lieber and so many others, Vance, and these authors and the myths that these authors' stories were based on, they use monsters as the embodiment of evil. These are inherently evil, bad, chaotic creatures that have no care for law and order, for humans, or the European humans that inhabited these worlds of fantasy. And so this guy's already making the monsters into the non-whites. So he's drawing the parallel that these monsters are the non-whites, and of course the non-whites were exploited and treated as primitive by the white people wherever we would go. And very anti-white right off the bat. It's gross. Continuing on, this is particularly egregious when a group is actually given a penalty to their intelligence score as part of the rules. So he's upset that the orcs or goblins, these lesser creatures, very more like animals but kind of demonic almost, that they have a lower intelligence than the humans. That's an egregious racist trope to have. Okay, they're monsters. Okay, if Blackie the Blackball is listening to this, dude, they're monsters, okay? You're taking something and making it into something completely different to try and white guilt white people. This is ridiculous and disgusting. This is not continuing on with this total garbage. This is not to say that anyone playing games with these sorts of depictions and tropes are automatically racist. Racist, of course, an anti-white slur. Nor is it saying that the writers of these games were consciously racist, although there is no doubt that some were. Having a healthy opinion of your own people and a healthy caution and suspicion of those who are outside of your group of humanity. If white people do it, that's egregious, that is racist, it should be shamed, according to Blackie the Blackball. And of course the authors who were not kissing the ass of the anti-whites, being as anti-white as possible, they're of course no doubt were being consciously racist. And so continuing on, he says, "Indeed, I naively and unthinkingly reproduced these tropes myself in dark dungeons, with no ill intent, which had many peoples reduced to the status of monsters, equated their religion with shamanism, which was inherently inferior to civilized religions, and heavily encourage the settling of their uninhabited land by player characters. The majority of people playing fantasy role-playing games have probably never even noticed how close some of the game tropes are to real-world racist rhetoric. However, yeah, because we're not insane like you, okay? Because we don't see racism around every corner in every projection of Western kind of white people's creativity. Because we're not anti-white. Not all of us. However, while a lot of people can play the games without noticing these problematic elements, or if they do notice, find that the presence of these elements isn't enough to spoil their enjoyment. Many people these days prefer to play games that avoid these tropes. You know, the good people in his mind. And that's where this new edition comes in. Oh, joy, thank you. Thank you, Blackie. This new edition of Dark Dungeons aims to keep the existing rules, but without the outdated tropes that have historically gone hand in hand with them. So all of the things that inspired these games in the first place, our traditions, our folklore, all these things, all these good, honest, wholesome tropes, these things, he's going to get rid of those. He's going to white erase his game as much as possible because, well, he's anti-white. The record of many games, okay, so the record of them, the history of many games, when it comes to diversity of gender and sexuality, also are rather terrible. While this has not been as bad as the racial aspect often is, there have been games that made female characters weaker than male characters. And many games and adventures assumed that these characters would be male and leaned into either damsel in distress or evil seductress tropes. There's also the classic example of games simply assuming that their readers and their characters will all be male and exclusively using he when referring to them. Dark Dungeons has been less bad here, but it could still do with some updates. So we're not supposed to acknowledge that men are physically stronger than women in our games. And these losers, what they'll do is they'll go, oh, you don't want women to be strong in your fantasy game, you know, you want blah in your elf game or something. You know, they'll use this real demeaning language. They're supposedly gamers who love tabletop role-playing games, but they talk like a mom from the 80s who thought all the kids playing it were the nerds, you know, and her generation were so much cooler and, you know, oh, your elf game or whatever. Well, here's the thing about that. The thing about that is these games are fun when they simulate reality to a certain point. The more realistic it is, the more fun it is to see the consequences of the character's various actions. If it was totally fantasy with no basis in reality, I mean, what would it even be? Are you molecules just floating in a vat and there's no laws of physics or anything? And then what do you even have if you keep reducing it down? You know, well, why have any kind of realism? Well, then what is it even? I mean, how can you even make a game of that? Of nothing. So we want realistic simulations. Players of games, we enjoy the realism, not to the point where it weighs it down and makes it impossible to play, but enough so that at least things make sense. The consequences of your actions make sense. There's hardly any games that make a big deal about gender for the most part, or sex, biological sex, but some do, and it makes sense. For instance, males are often taller than females. Males are often way more than females on average, you know, of a healthy society. Males are stronger. Sometimes a female will have possibly more beauty than a male, so the female can have, in these games, a higher charisma. Maybe they get a bonus to their charisma because females are more inherently beautiful and often more than the male because that's not his thing. And so these things make the games a little bit more realistic, and you feel like you're operating in a more realistic environment, which, again, as I was saying, it kind of makes it a little bit more fun sometimes. Anyways, he has a problem with that because all of those things embody Western traditions, our values, our norms, how our society works. And of course, that needs to be white erased. Continuing on, I'm almost done. Additionally, it's only very recently that we've started to see LGBTQIA+ characters in role-playing games. Sure, you've always been able to play characters who you like, albeit sometimes having to put up with resistance or abuse from fellow players. Okay, but people do like to see characters who are like themselves in their gaming material. And until recently, many gamers simply did not. Well, not many gamers. That's the thing. If you look at statistics, well, now, I guess now, because there's an epidemic of sexual deviancy and all this stuff is being pushed in the schools, all these things that are socially destructive, they're bad for society. They haven't been normal for a reason, and that is because that will destroy a society. When you have rampant sexual degeneracy and all this other stuff, whosever civilization that is, was their homeland, was sane and safe, that just turns into a hellhole. Okay, here's the thing about sex. LGBTQIA. No one gives a shit about what you're doing. It's nothing to celebrate. Okay, you're not making a family unless you're a heterosexual married couple with children. There's nothing to be celebrated there. Sex, the whole reason for sex, yeah, it's enjoyable, but the reason for us having sex is to procreate. That's the purpose. It isn't for recreational purposes, even though, it can be fun. I'm not gonna act like I'm some puritanical person who doesn't enjoy sex, but what our society traditionally would consider deviant sex or a perversion, there's no families coming out of that. In fact, that often is seducing people away from that to just live a life of selfish gratification. And as we know, selfish gratification does not build a people. So let's continue on. This guy, butt hurt, probably literally, because LGBTQIA+ characters aren't featured more prominently in all these games, and they have nothing to do with any of our folklore, none of this shit. Okay, because you force that in, that ruins it for everyone who is normal, right? So he says, well, I'm personally cishet. Cishet is a term used to marginalize straight people. Anyways, he says he has these people in his home at his gaming table, and it's important. Their existence is not erased. Okay, it wasn't there in the first place, so it's not erased. What's being erased is white people and our traditions, our folklore. So that's what's being erased. This introduction has already gone on for quite a while, and I therefore need to clear things up. The game is not going to be preachy and hit you over the head with unsubtle lessons or the like. Sure, the game intends to practice what it preaches in terms of inclusivity and avoiding problematic material and tropes, but it's not going to keep drawing attention to itself doing that. You may agree with everything I've just said, or you may disagree. But either way, you should be able to judge Dark Dungeons on its merits. Oh, like you do the traditions, the story devices, the tropes of white people for thousands of years. That's what you're doing, right? You're just judging it on its merits. No, you're judging it based on what celebrities and CNN told you to think, and your favorite, Rage Against the Machine or whoever else shit bands you listen to, what they say. So you're not judging anything on its merits, but we are, and we see this shit, and we know it's anti-white, and we know where it belongs, in the garbage. Either way, so it says there's nothing here telling you you're a bad person or you must play the game a certain way. Well, you literally called us bad, and you used several terms which said we were bad or implied immoral or just following our traditional values. You've already said those things were bad, so no, it doesn't work that way. You're not going to gaslight us. Well, you will some people, but they're stupid. Similarly, I'm not picking on the D&D Rules Cyclopedia, the original game that Dark Dungeon emulates, as being some kind of terrible bastion of racism, homophobia, and misogyny. Sure, the game has its issues and problematic elements, but it's a product of its time, and it's no worse than other games from the same era. In fact, in a lot of ways, it was better than a lot of its peers. The artwork, in particular, was notably diverse for its time. So now, and it was, the art in that rulebook, I like the game, but the art in the Rules Cyclopedia version, it sucks. They have like some weird African-looking dude as the wizard, which doesn't match anything from any book unless, not anything that a person would want to play normally. Okay, no one's wanting to play the African voodoo witch doctor, the white guy who loves Gandalf or thinks Jack Vance is, Rialto or whoever the characters are, who wants to kind of live out those kind of fun activities and events. They're going to see that picture and it's just going to steal away the inspiration, especially young people who play these games. Just they're doing homework. They're at school 8 hours a day. They're doing all, 3 hours of homework. They're mowing the lawn, all this other shit. And now they just want to have fun for a couple hours with their bros. And now, the picture they're looking at is it's all black people or non-whites, or it's like women priests and just a total subversion of everything. So this guy celebrates that. And so, sure, the game, yeah. So that's it. He says, anyways, I hope you enjoy playing Dark Dungeons as much as I have over the years. Well, I'm not going to play this version because this just totally sucks. Well, anyways, that's that. I know that took a long time. Sorry. Let's move on now. All right. Thanks for listening, you guys. All right. So that was that little experiment. It's kind of fun to do. That was take 2. The first take was so long and rambling and annoying to watch back. I had to do a different take. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Of course, it wasn't a review of the game itself, just the introduction. The Here's your welcome mat, white people. If you're not into white erasure, if you're not anti-white, you know where you stand in my book. So, luckily it was free. So, I didn't have to pay for that. Uh-oh. I can't turn down the volume. Oh my God! Hold on. I gotta focus. There we go. There. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. I saw some of it. I responded while it was going. If there's Stan Kovacs here, he says, if there's no racial differences in RPG, then they would suck. Same goes for real life. Exactly. We're different. We have different strengths and weaknesses, and of course we're going to prefer our own most of the time unless our spirit is unhealthy. We're going to feel at home, comforted by being around our people, by being around the environments that our people create naturally, just by being alive. It's just what we exude. We're exuders of awesomeness, in my opinion. Where does this guy live? He is riled up, man. She's got on her heavy bag gloves. She's gonna find this guy. Show him what it means to feel white positivity. Ivan the Horrible's here. Good to see you, brother. Ivan never liked Rage for the regime much myself. You know, I probably told this story before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself like some old grandpa. You know I am getting old. But we opened for Rage Against the Machine once, my band, way back early 90s, before they were famous. And they were pretty good. Just musically, I enjoyed it. It was mostly gangbanger vatos there. It was really weird. But it was... And I don't know how they even knew about it. I was really, what would you say, puzzled. Because I played shows all the time. I went to all the clubs. I saw who showed up for the different shows. I knew the crowd. And this was just this totally different element. Somehow, all these gangbanger, F-14ers or whatever you call them, they were all there and but the band was pretty cool, and although the honor of this is ruined now because the guy Tom Morello, the guitar player, is just a complete anti-white. Back then, that's probably early 20s, 22 or whatever. And these guys were really good. And I was in the bathroom and he came in. Black guy, he looks like half black, but black guy, and I had just seen them play, and I thought, wow, oh, that's the guitar player. And he goes, hey, I saw your set, and I really like the noises and cool stuff you were doing with the guitar. And later in life, before I learned what an anti-whitey was, that kind of made me proud, because he did kind of make neat use of the guitar for sound effect type. Like the scratching or whatever. So, but now it doesn't really mean anything, just because I know he hates our people and actively works against us. So whatever. Let's see. So Anonymous says, "Oh, we're bad. We're not bad. We're good. We're the best." Ivan always gets annoyed when the anti-whites and the female girls rant about my soggy knees. Well, them soggy knees, do they sound like, like water balloons full of water when you walk? I hope not. I hope they're not that soggy. Oh my freaking God, said No White Guilt, in response to the anti-white POS that we were reading his words. Let's see. Hellender said that it was a nice review. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. No White Guilt said, great job covering that game intro in a succinct and powerful way. Thank you. He says, all I can do now is hope I live long enough to see it start. Yes, well, me too. I'd like to see it start. I'd like to see the recapture of our destiny. I'd like to see our people speaking with one voice and what that brings about. Because when our people have had enough and we are united, no other people, sorry if you're not white, but this is just a little pride I have, but I don't think any other people are going to get in our way. So we just need that to happen. And then I'm not saying it has to be violence or whatever, but however it comes about, maybe it plays out in several domains, it's going to be glorious, and there will be a glorious victory. I have no doubt. Hallander says, does the rules even reflect his booger-headed boob nonsense, or is it just him dropping pocket spaghetti on his forward for no reason? I mean, homebrew rules and vetoing changes can undo all his yapping. Well, okay, in that regard, It doesn't. And I have read through the rules, scanned through it, and I have the original version, which was actually good, the first edition, and all the others. I think there's, well, I guess this is the 4th edition, right? So there's 4 of them, if I didn't make that clear. So it's not that different. It doesn't have anything weird at all in it. So yeah, it's just him declaring his allegiance to the anti-whites, hoping he doesn't get canceled or whatever. So, yeah, that to answer your question. But do the orcs like fried chicken? Well, the orcs are the Mexicans now, right? So they would like chicken mole or something like that. I get fired up at this shit, right? She is, well, I do too. Believe me. The first time I did the first take, my voice was, and this sounds like the meme, but my voice was kind of shaking a little because I was so worked up. I was really getting pissed off. And the second time through, I kept my focus and got through it, and didn't go on 10 or 15 minute rants. So. I wonder what freak female he is trying to appease with this anti-whiteism, right? Exactly. I don't know. Well, that crowd, there are a lot of anti-whites, and they all villainy signal to each other. And it's fallen apart. There is a ever-growing scene of rational, sane people who aren't buying into that. They're not white positive, but they're not anti-white. And Jason, as you said to me once, and I thought it was very wise, and very smart. We don't have to make everybody white positive. It's a start just to reduce the amount of anti-whiteism. That's, at least in our people, just ending the anti-whiteism, that's going to be such a huge step forward for us. And, they don't have to be these Promethean warriors, these pristine, badass gods and goddesses among men. Just diffusing their anti-whiteism is going to go so far. And so I do see a movement within the gaming industry, within the gaming fan community, where they're done with it. They see how moronic it is, how much life and soul it steals out of everything, and they reject it. They may not even know why, but they just know it doesn't feel right. All right, I'm waiting war paint on my face and body. Nice, Snow White Guilt, getting the war paint on. Hell yeah! I like the art of that displacer beat. Oh, isn't that cool, Yiz? Yeah, it's very striking with those contrasting colors and sharp lines. I love that too. When I saw that, I had to download it and put it in the slideshow. We will be the pristine. We will be the true heroes. And of course, as it was in ancient times when we probably were much more healthier, maybe still had mean pathogens, but they made maybe a little bit more sense in ancient times with ethno-nationalism or tribalism and things like this. But in this setting, you gain honor from the other men. It's like a currency, and you can't be awarded, I guess you could call it. Maybe that's a bad word. It's not the word I'm looking for, but I'm just going to use it so I can keep talking. You can't be awarded honor from people who are not honorable, right? So some pedophile, we don't care what he thinks about us. Some anti-white scum, some coward who would only say wokies or whatever and never call out anti-whites. Never. I mean, not once. You know, how we can't gain honor from that. Honor is shared in and given and grown and earned amongst your brothers and sisters who are honorable. So we will be the pristine among our race, yes, and we will have, and that will be enough. We don't have to be celebrities. We don't have to be, I mean, I think we all deserve statues, everyone in the chat, but just knowing that we're doing the right thing in the face of adversity, in the face of whatever they throw at us, shame, ridicule, it's all bullshit. But we do it anyways, and sometimes it hurts, even though we know they're scum. When, you know, if a longtime friend or whatever rejects us all of a sudden because they find out that we're white positive, that we're saying these things and thinking these things, that's painful, and we endure that for the good of our people. And how noble is that? That's a selfless act. And so that's why I'm so happy, you know, to be a part of this community. So proud to have you guys in my chat room. These are all awesome people. I'm gonna stop talking for a minute. Let's listen to music. I'm gonna go in the kitchen and get some water, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Boss Klutwick, Perry Ubu meets The Cure and whatnot. Kinda, huh? I mean, Perry Ubu was really out there. I love Echo and the Bunnymen just because they all played several instruments. All that back then when those were recorded, that's all them playing the violins, all the instruments, and I really love that. Their creativity and how they put those songs together. Hell yeah, Jason, this is a badass image. That explosion, it's like, what the heck happened over there? They just threw the trebuchet through something crazy. All right. I don't know what that was. I'm guessing it's some kind of, I don't know, some kind of trebuchet load that had maybe a barrel with oil and fire or something so that it create some kind of fireball, but it wouldn't be an explosion that big, so it's just cool art. Very cool art, and you know that artist was feeling that because you can just taste it in the way they painted it. A Monet painting. Sometimes all the rock station bands on the radio seems to have only liked The Cure and Joy Division. Yeah, they were pretty influential. I can't listen to The Cure anymore. The vocals drive me nuts. But when I was younger, I liked their early stuff. Joy Division too. I really liked their stuff. It was very sparse and emotional and stuff, but I don't listen to it. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. Very cold. I'm not saying it's not a true expression, that it's not truly artistic and worthy. It's just I don't get enjoyment from listening to that, either one of those anymore. Not maybe every once in a while I'll listen to a Cure like instrumental. Something off 17 Seconds, maybe. Our opposition understands it boils down to modifying human behavior. Absolutely, Stan Kovac. Well, they know that it boils down to white guilting white people. Because that's basically like declawing us. It just turns us from something that if you are a threat to us as a collective, you're in danger. It turns that into a no danger. Dennis Myers, I feel your pain, brother. Combating my son's exposure to his mother's anti-white Conceptual has been quite an experience for the last 20 years. Yes. No, I know. I can't speak ill of my son's mothers. They might be listening, and I know I wouldn't want my dad to say anything about my mom, no matter how much I know it's true. So all I can say is I feel your pain, and yeah, that is combat. That is a battle. Sonny Jim, the Cure and Joy Division were proto-goths, which is my justification for not liking them at that time. No, they definitely were. I didn't mind goth. Some of it. I liked some of it back then, for sure. But then I also liked, the hardest, Black Sabbath and AC/DC and, all that. I was not one of those people who just, stuck with one genre of music. I just wanted to see everything that was available and find the stuff, the best of all of it, the best for me, right? Because it's subjective, but I think there is objectively good and objectively bad. Maybe not all of it is, but the anti-whites want to make everything subjective. They don't want there to be objectively good, objectively bad, objectively beautiful, objectively lovely. They hate that. They need everything nebulous, so they can just swizzle it around and blow it out like fairy dust into nothingness. Oh, that's good to hear, Stumbling. He wrote, I had a victory with my mother recently thanks to that awful anti-white adolescence thing on Netflix. My brother's starting to listen to me more, too. Progress. Well, that's great. That's always nice when we gain some ground, make some headway with our loved ones. We fight tooth and claw for every inch with our loved ones, and so even the small things feel great. Little victories, they add up, they accumulate. Of course, doesn't mean the opposition isn't undoing the work sometimes, so that's why we have to keep up on it. Keep up on it as much as they'll let us without just not answering our calls anymore. So you gotta find that. You gotta find that fine line. Oh, that's sad to hear, Samuski. Sorry about that. I know that's probably frustrating. And I'll read this out loud in case you're on another. Well, I don't even know if I'm streaming anywhere else, but just for posterity, he writes, my mother, being rabidly anti-white, has taken to attending daily protest against Doge and the Trump-Elon duo. It's sad because in her older years, she is seeking purpose in life. Well, that is sad. That is sad because she has been misled, misguided, misinformed. And she probably truly believes that she's doing the right thing. Yeah, that's a tough one, Samuski. I was lucky with my mom. My mom was my mom was really easy to get on our side. It didn't take much convincing. She recognized the reasoning, the logic, and shook her head like, yep, I get this, and okay. And she was okay with it before she passed away. I mean, at least that felt good. My dad, on the other hand, he's completely lost to anti-whiteism. He'll say he isn't, but then he votes for the anti-whites, and he hates Trump. Everything that you hear the crazy people say about Trump, just the ridiculous talking points that they all have, like they're just talking off a sheet, and they basically are, because they heard the talking heads say it, and so they say it on TV. The talking heads, not the band Talking Heads, although they may be anti-white too, I don't know, but yeah, they just repeat those things. So as soon as they start saying those things, you recognize it. You just go, oh, okay. You can try. But pretty hard to break that conditioning. The silver lining, writes Craig the Man, is that it makes the person being here even more of a blessing. This person being here, even more of a blessing. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That Trump wearing a small beanie on his head. Yeah. We changed the slideshow. Do some fine art. They don't want to learn how anti-white they are. That's true. Well, that's painful. There's physical pain involved in realizing and then admitting to yourself, because you have to admit it. One has to admit it to oneself before you get to the act of admitting it to anyone else. And that's extremely painful. There's shame, there's embarrassment, there's anger, but that embarrassment, that shame, that's really strong for people, especially people with low self-esteem. People are really sensitive and have low self-esteem. That's often just way too much for them. They're already damaged goods mentally. They're not in a strong, healthy, wholesome place. And then they get hit, with, oh crap, the whole house of cards is coming down if I admit this, and they can't face that. They can't. Well, they can, but they choose not to because they're weak, they're selfish, and that's what they do. And it's ultimately, I think it all comes down to being selfish. Because anyone who cares about the community, cares about their people, they're going to make sacrifices for the greater good. These people don't, so... And there's a reason why our people, at least used to, our good people, valued selflessness. Not the kind of selflessness that is really selfishness, disguised as selflessness. So, pretending you're selfless and throwing white people under the bus to escape anti-whiteism is not selfless. That is selfish. So, all the little psychological tricks, they even trick themselves sometimes. Oh, okay. Thanks, Craig the Man, for clearing that up. Giving people a safe escape route is important. I agree. For some things, not everything has a safe escape route. If you've dug yourself a hole and lined it with broken bottles and snakes, then, well, you dragged everyone else through that. So guess what? Now, to get out of that hole, you've got to own up to all that. That's yours. That's your mess. And these people, like I said, they're selfish. So they're not going to do it. They don't care about you and I. They don't care about our kids. They don't care about the future generations of our people. All right, Dennis Myers. He says it's getting close to closing time, and he's going to be listening and mopping at the same time. But I agree, Stumbling. I'm not disagreeing with you or trying to contradict you. I think you're right. If there's a way to give them, if you can give them this nice road out, what matters is they get out, right? And so we need them out of that state of mind, out of that belief. And if they have a way out, let's get them out, because we don't need to degrade them on their way out as punishment. We need them out of that hole so they can be white positive. Although sometimes, and maybe this is just a stupid idea I have, but so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But sometimes I think the pain, the struggle, the shame, the embarrassment, all that stuff, the hard road out, that's what builds the willpower. That's what builds the character so that you aren't just falling for it the next time. You went through that struggle. You suffered as you went through it. You invested your pain into it. Now you own it, and you're not going to let it go for some little bitch move or whatever, you know? So, you know, when things are given to people, it's like spoiled kids, they're just given everything. Well, then they never learn. So I think there's part of that principle kind of applies. But yes, I get what you're saying. I agree, Ivan. I love this song. Like, I had to shut up just so I could get into it. It's very dramatic.
Use your brains, my children, brothers and sisters.
Hey, who loves Gandalf, or they're doing homework, they're at school 8 hours a day, they're doing non-whites, or it's like women. Anyways, I hope you enjoy playing Dark Dungeons. I'm sorry. Let's
Use your brains, my children, brothers and sisters.
Hey guys, how's it going? Fornull here. I'm just out hanging out at my yacht. As you can see, I've been lazy today. I'm still in my pajamas. You know, just lounging around, reading some books, and playing guitar. It's regular stuff that I love to do. I probably read 2 or 3 books today and played a couple of guitars, and yeah, about it. So take care. Yeah, maybe you guys can come visit me on my boat someday on this little tub. All right, see ya. Yeah, I forgot all about that. That was gonna be the lighthearted return after the enraging thing. The other part, and then I forgot to play it. There you go. This slideshow's freaking out here. Look at those boots. Those are pretty neat. I don't trust this lady. Well, now especially she's got talons. No, those are not apple handling appendages. You catch my drift. Evil Authors here, everybody. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late planting oak trees in my backyard. Cool. Yeah, I can run really fast, Jason. I made a video for Jason one time because we were messing around figuring out, like, I was demonstrating him the kind of sets I could make before I made the Jason Goes Political set. I was experimenting with a bunch of stuff, and I had this one. It was really cool, and I can't find the video where I'd play it because it was really impressive. I was like in some cyberpunk location, but I started doing some really funny jig, and I was impressed at how authentic it looked, or funny. It was just good physical humor, and it made me laugh. And I don't think I'm great or anything, so when I see something of me that makes me laugh, I assume that's pretty funny and other people will appreciate it. So I wish I could find that. I even made this one, and I'll never share it because it was just between Jason and I, but I'll tell you about it. I made this one video in his Jason Goes Political set. So I, was testing it out where I'm just basically just giving him ideas that I was having about it. I'm just saying, hey, maybe try this or whatever. Just talking to him, you know, but I do remember doing that. And I was a little nervous to send it to him. Because it wasn't just something funny or entertaining. It was like I was being serious about something. Oh, and I made Stool Talk. All those videos I made at that same time as I was experimenting with that. The big green screen where I can stand up and, you know, you can see my feet and everything. Which means I have this huge green sheet and it has to go on the floor too. So that you can chroma key out the floor so it looks like I'm standing, you know, when you can see the feet and everything and it's at the right angle, it's really magical. And so then it's just fun once you've got it set up to try a bunch of different things and just get creative, see what you can do. And so the reason I say that, why that's in my mind is because I've recently set it back up and I'm feeling creative again, like videos and things like that, so we'll see if anything comes of it, but hey, we got that thing today, that review, so that's a start. Okay, Ivan the Horrible says, when Ivan was 6 or 7, Ivan played a cyberpunk game for the PS2 called 7 Samurai 20XX. It has one of the coolest aesthetics Ivan has ever seen, but Ivan doesn't get the nostalgia for some reason. Well, 7 Samurai, Akira Kurosawa, that was a pretty cool movie. I mean, I remember really liking that. Really long movie. It's like 4 video cassettes or 5 of them or something. It's like really this massive story, but I enjoyed it a lot. And I liked the anime. The 7 Samurai anime that came after, that was kind of good too. More of a dystopian future take on the same story. Different, but because it's a little different. But anyways, that's interesting. Revenge of Shinobi. Oh yeah, that's a classic. Well then dance, Samuski. Dancing's good for the soul. I danced with Mrs. Fornull. When we hear a good song, we'll just start dancing together. And it's like we were teenagers in the dance club again. Thanks, Jason. Jason wrote, "That's cool of you both," Fornull and Roused Rose. Samuski wrote, "That's cool. Never stop dancing with your wife, and I and mine do the same." Right on, brother. That's good. I'm dancing to this, says No White Gill. Awesome. Very cool. Well, I love dancing. Dancing it feels good. To just feel the music and bop around. I mean, I think it's pretty hard to make danceable music unless you like the feel of music and dancing and things like that. For White Wellbeing wrote, "You're awesome, Fornull. Thank you for designing that set." Well, you're awesome too, brother. Thank you for appreciating it. And thanks for all you do. I remember when Jason did the snake dance. He did the dang snake dance on stream. It was lewd. It was bordering on lewd. I had to look away. It's like, oh, this is for the ladies. This is too suggestive for me. No, it was pretty cool though. It made me think, like, is Jason secretly a male, one of those male dancers, you know? But I don't think so. His dancing kind of reminded me a little bit of Claude Van Damme dancing. And if I could find a clip, and it's not the same, but it's that same. It's like, this is your normal white man. This is how a normal white man's gonna dance and be like sexy or whatever. And it's not weird or anything. It's just like good and made. I don't know. It's like wholesome lewdness. if that can be a thing. He does have the moves. Samuski has the moves. He really does. And obviously Jean-Claude Van Damme would have the moves. I mean, he's like a karate master, so. If Ivan had a female wife, Ivan would poke and prod her with Ivan's emaciated fingies. Come on, let's say it right, because you lose the whole feel if you say fingers instead of fingies. And give her the pets and scratches on her ferrety noggin. Oh yeah. That's right, Ivan. You would do that. And it would be very gratifying. Dennis Myers, no doubt. Yeah, as I grew up, he wrote, Dennis writes, I heard all about how men are supposed to be these perverts. No, that's not what I discovered to be true. I paraphrased. Got a retracted message from Boss Klutwig. Now I'm even more curious to know what it said. Must have been something juicy. Dennis says, well, some people seem to think pelvic thrust is all there is to dancing. If female girls didn't like getting the pets and scratches on their ferrety noggins, they wouldn't use so many products to make their feelers as soft and pleasant to touch as possible. True. They love our adoration. Especially if they're good, wholesome people, you know, who aren't bitter and all twisted inside. Then you're set, man. Don't let it go. Not letting mine go. Okay, I was trying to be comical there. That's not how I really dance. Just so you know. Sonny Jim, Fornull doesn't need a hip replacement yet. Woo, go Fornull. Oh wow, Fornull's breaking it down. You guys are hilarious. I was just gonna write loving the music and visuals, but then the man himself was there on the dance floor. Enough goofiness. That's right, some electro.
I saw it on the screen today. The world is in danger. We are in danger. Nature and humanity. Information for the nations. Movement and mobility. Fuel oil, plastic, energy. Future possibilities. And when to keep up, we have to hold back. Robopop society. Robopop society. Robopop society. Robopop society.
Oh, did you guys hear? Those of you on the admin team for the Twitter outreach, there's maybe I shouldn't even say this. I don't know. Well, I think it should be okay. I don't know if she's going to be accepted or not, but we got a applicant today, or someone who wanted to join the outreach, and she's a celebrity. She's been in several movies. Was a hardcore anti-white and became white positive. And Jason, did you hear about this? Did you see that today? I'm probably Biospirit told you, or maybe you saw it yourself. Curious what you thought about it. Before I go too far with it, I'm curious to get your feedback. What you thought about that? She was accepted. Oh, okay, then it's already a done deal. Well, yeah, isn't that's kind of amazing? It was Bo Derek. Yeah, she's a 10. Nope, not yet. Okay, well, her name's, I'll tell you, and I'm probably gonna get her name wrong, so let me yeah, her name is Dallas Malloy. Dallas Malloy. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this lady. So she was a boxer. She defeated Heather Poinier, female boxer. First sanctioned amateur boxing match she she sued the district judge, Barbara Rothstein, and who allowed her to box by granting a preliminary injunction. So this lady, if you see her now, she's got facial tattoos, neck tattoos. She's pretty hardcore. Here, I'm going to show you a picture. And I'm not bashing on her or anything, so I'm just, just telling you about this lady. And I'll show you a picture of her in just a second. Robopop Society. Oh wow, that's ginormous. There. So that's Dallas Malloy. She is now white positive. She was a hardcore anti-white liberal, drug addict, self-proclaimed. I'm not giving away any privileged information here. So she was addicted to drugs. She was, in the celebrity circles or whatever. She played a trans priest. A trans Catholic priest once in a TV show called, and it was kind of a big deal at the time. I think it was I can't think. She's been on Jimmy Kimmel, Eli Stone, first episode. She was in Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, she was on the same talk show as him. He talked about her before she came on. So this is a big star. And she saw what we were doing, and that resonated with her. And she said, I have to fight. I see this as the way forward. And so she wanted to join us. Which I think is totally awesome, especially from her background, all the things she went through to get here. Talk about pain. That must have been painful, facing what she had done, and deciding anyways, hey, I want to do this. This is, now I see it for what it is. And so, yeah, she joined us today. Very cool. She's a bodybuilder. Or was. I don't know what her status is right now. She's a bodybuilder. She was a boxer. Became an actress, up until, I think her last film, though, was maybe 5 years ago. Maybe before then. I'm not sure. I want to say it. It's like 5 years ago or so. Or wait, what year is it? Yeah, it's amazing. It's really, and I hope she sticks with it. I hope she, it's not easy because we got to hear things we don't like. We have to hear things from each other that maybe is wrong with us, and we can't take that personal, like they're attacking us personally. We have to take that as something to think about, something to consider, and maybe change up about ourselves. If we have the strength to do so at that time. And so it's not easy because we're not easy on each other. And that's how it should be. We should be pushing each other to climb ever higher. So, and that's the only way we keep getting stronger. And so hopefully, with that fighting spirit that she says she has, she is able to hang with us and make something out of it. That'd just be so cool, because that could be a lot of exposure for us, I think. Of course, none of her peers from Hollywood, you know how they do it. They obfuscate, they hide. They don't mention her. She doesn't exist anymore. So they're not going to give us bad press to give us more exposure. Most likely.
Pull yourself together, take a stab and forever relax. Let yourself go. Put yourself together, take a shot and forever the fact. Let the juice flow. No time like the present to get ripped apart. Got this burning desire, aim it straight for your heart. Suck, you try. Suck. You try, can't breathe till I suck you dry. Ow! Come a little closer before I slide over. Come on, I want you first. Come a little closer before I take you over. Come now, push my third. No time like the present to get ripped apart. Got this burning desire, aiming straight for your heart. Suck, you try. Suck, you try. Can't breathe till I suck you dry. No time like the present to get ripped apart. Got this burning desire, aiming straight for your heart.
What year is it? 2025. Fornull, her IMDb page is fascinating. It really is. I mean, and you look at some of the roles she played, obviously very anti-white propaganda. The only purpose, was to disrupt our norms. Our Norm McDonald's. Where'd you get this pic of my hidden moon-based villain lair? Well, I have my methods. You do know I own a big 8-inch Celestron telescope. You like that pregnant pause there? Yes, she was an actress from movies. From actual movies, when movies were halfway decent. When people still went to the movies. This is the fight for the ages. Absolutely no white guilt. And we need all the fighters. I love Norm too. He's badass. Yeah. We must protect our norms. McDonald's. Isn't that Star Trek from Star Trek down there? Are you serious? The great champion Jason Kuna has financially gifted $100. He wrote, "Have a sweet dinner, bro. Thank you so much." Shit, that is awesome. That's crazy. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate that. And I will. I will definitely go have a sweet dinner on that. Cheers. Uh-oh. I hear scratching. And I don't think my wife does that, so it's got to be the cat. Be right back. Well, it's a party now. I mean, no one can say Western Kind doesn't know how to party. I was looking for a song. I picked the wrong one. That's okay. We'll bring it back. We're gonna bring it back. Well, I only got 5 minutes left. Go out. Go out in a blaze of glory. Sweek! Sweek! Sweek, baby, sweek. Sweek, baby, sweek, baby, 1, 2, 3. Well, I hope y'all had fun. We'll do one more song after this. Something upbeat. Go out on a high note. I had a lot of fun. I felt like this was an extra good gathering tonight, which I needed. No White Guilt says he had a lot of fun. Thank you, brother. I said waiting for the drop, but it faded out. I know. That was a tease, huh? That wasn't very nice. And Ivan was talking about, now I know why he calls them scratchers. Definitely. They're definitely scratchers. Yes, Kiku has a very entitled attitude, for sure. Yeah, that was techno, for sure, that was. And relatively modern techno. All right. It was Evil Author. Thanks for asking. I saw that. Over 40. I know, that was crazy. It is Sweetguard. All right. I want to ride. All right, good night. Promethean farewells, champions. See you next time. Have a great rest of your week. Good night.